Well, good afternoon and welcome back to my lower intermediate conversation class. This is Professor Kent Lee. Last time we talked about memory techniques and sort of memory skills that you'll need for either jobs or your lives in general, or some of you may go on to higher education like graduate school and definitely need memory skills for that. Today, or this week, we are going to talk about communication skills, including those for workplace, and just looking as a linguist at English communication skills and those that would be useful to a workplace. And this will be relevant to you if you're going to go for a company job or if you are going on for graduate school and you'll maybe be working in a lab or something like that. Any situation, these will be relevant. These kinds of workplace communication skills and other workplace skills will be relevant. Whether you're a teacher, a government worker, working in a laboratory, working in a business. No matter what you're doing, these are going to be relevant. So let's kind of go back to our earlier discussion here at the beginning of the semester about personality preferences. Again, the MBTI is not a scientific test, so be careful about how you use it or talk about it. But it's useful for talking about your preferences. Think about you working in a job someday, in your personality preferences. How is that going to affect maybe the kind of job that you will gravitate toward, the kind of career you're maybe going to go for, and the kind of workplace that you would like, and how you're going to do in the workplace environment, especially with other people. If you're an extrovert or introvert, for example, how is that going to affect things? Now, keep in mind, introvert does not necessarily mean shy. I'm introverted, but I love talking, I love teaching, I love social interaction, if it's not with huge groups of people. I love that. I love being in a classroom. I love public speaking. It's great fun. But being an introvert means I need downtime. I need to recharge my mental batteries by myself somehow. In fact, last night I was so stressed from work. It was great. I went home and I just listened to some old alternative rock music on YouTube for about 2 hours. My favorite old alternative bands. I do that. That helps me to recharge my brain, my mental batteries. You have to know yourself. Be in touch with yourself and know what makes you tired, what makes you stressed, and what recharges you. Especially if you're an introvert, but for everybody, know what recharges you. If you're an extrovert, you're kind of more recharged by, more often probably by social interaction. But be aware what kinds of social interaction work for you. You want social interactions that recharge you and not stress you and make you tired. What works for you? You kind of have to know that. You have to know yourself and be in touch with your emotions and yourself to know that. If you're an introvert, be a skillful, good introvert. Know what charges your mental batteries, know what stresses you out. When you know that you're being stressed, get away. Make sure you know how to get away and charge yourself. If you're an extrovert, be a good extrovert. I've worked with extroverts and a few of them were bad extroverts. They were awful people to be with. They were arrogant, they were bad-mannered, they were stupid people. In English slang we call them a jerk. A jerk is a person who's kind of stupid or annoying. So I've worked with extroverts who were jerks. They were awfully annoying. Be a good extrovert, be in touch with yourself. What kind of an extrovert that people like, and if you're an introvert, be an introvert that other people will like and that you will like by knowing how to take care of yourself. So what's your personal preference in that area, and how is that going to think about yourself working in a job? You're a new employee in a new job in a new company, or you've been there for a couple of years. What kind of workplace interactions are going to be fun for you? What kinds of interactions are going to be stressful for you? Working with a team, working in your office by yourself? What kinds of workplace environments is going to make you happy? How are you going to get along with other people well? Decision making. So I think the JMP dimension on the MBTI, decision making, do you like to make decisions and move on? Or are you the sort of person who really wants to to collect all the information you can and consider things, think about things before you make a decision and move on. There's value in both of those, and in a company, you have to think, what is your decision-making preference and how is that going to work in a particular workplace? Your style of decision-making. Thinking and feeling. Are you more of a logical thinker? You just care about the facts? That's good. As long as you know how to be sensitive to other people's emotions and your own emotions. Are you the sort of feeler who is really concerned with people's emotions and feelings and your own? That's good too. But there's also a role for analytical thinking skills. You need both of those. Balance here. So what are your preferences? Maybe pause the video for a moment. Think again about these preferences and how would these affect you in a workplace, in a job someday, and how happy you're going to be or how stressed you're going to be. Think about this for a minute. What do you think? If you go for a job interview and someone asks you, or, what's your personality style? Would you be happy at this company based on your personality style? How would you respond? Think about it for a minute. Okay, back to communication skills and job skills. We can think about soft skills and hard skills. So a hard skill is like what you can put on your application documents, like your resume, application summary, a summary of your experience is called a resume. You can think about the hard skills, and those are things you put in your resume. You have a degree in English, focus on linguistics or focus on literature. That's a hard skill. It's stuff you know, and it's something you could state on your resume because you got trained in that specifically. You know English linguistics, you know French literature, you know German culture and business and marketing. Those are your hard skills. Or you got training in, advanced office software or statistics software. You've got a certificate. That's a hard skill. But the soft skills are stuff that's not really directly in your resume. These are more like kind of more abstract skills that come from other experiences. Maybe as a result of your literature courses, you've gained more cross-cultural awareness and empathy for other kinds of people. That would be a soft skill. The cross-cultural sensitivity, social skills, empathy, that's a sort of soft skill. So some soft skills that employers might be looking for, well, things like communication skills, working independently, being self-motivated, but also teamwork and collaboration skills, problem solving and analytical skills, creative thinking skills, leadership skills, and responsibility, being responsible. Which of these skills are you good at? Think for a while. Which of these are you good at? Which of these do you have experience or have you built up over the past few years? Or you've gotten, training in them somehow, or you've developed somehow. And which of these are you lacking or not so strong in? Which of these do you need to improve? So think about this for a few minutes and talk with somebody. Which of these soft skills are you good at? Which of these do you need to work on? And how would you work on them? How could you possibly work on these? I mean, there are probably no college courses here in leadership or a course in creative thinking skills. There are no courses in that. How do you develop those? Think about that for a while. All right, when we talk about workplace communication, we are talking about several different modes or mediums of communication, like verbal or face-to-face communication, obvious, body language, and facial expressions, or what we call paralinguistic communication in some kind of apply some areas of linguistics and communication studies. They call it paralinguistic communications, beyond the language itself. There are some kind of dubious figures that say, oh, 80% of your communication is through body language. I don't think it's that much. You hear some kind of popular factoids like that. It's kind of like more of a rumor. There's no research basis for it, but there is a significant component of your communication that is nonverbal. They have to be aware of, and you may not think about it, but if you're going to be working someday, you do need to start thinking about your nonverbal communication and how professional and mature it seems and how effective it is. Of course, there's telephone communication and written communication, ranging from informal forms like texting and notes to email can be informal or formal or in between, semi-formal, business letters, business memos, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of written communication. We also have to be aware of different communication, more specific communication mediums, again, face-to-face, texting, and what kind of communication medium is appropriate for what purpose. Because if you send some things by text, and especially multiple texts or something important by text, it doesn't look very professional, and when email would be much better. You may not be used to using email, but definitely it's important in the business world and the academic world. If you're going to be a graduate student, if you're going to be in a company, especially in an international company, definitely email is important. It will look bad if you don't know how to use email. If you send important stuff through text or Kakao Talk instead of email, if you don't reply to people's emails, that looks bad. People send you an email, maybe it's something important, or maybe they're just asking for information or asking for a response from you, and they're expecting a response, and if you don't reply, they're not going to be happy with you. It looks really unprofessional. Email is really important. Again, it can range from more informal to semi-formal to formal kinds of email, depending on who you're talking to by email, but email is important. Sometimes it's better to text, sometimes it's better to email, sometimes it's better to talk in person, sometimes it's better to do video chat or conference call. Sometimes you have to do meetings and presentations, and business is notorious for that. Sometimes you have to use PPP, sometimes you have to use PowerPoint. You have to know how to use it, and you have to know how not to use it, and maybe when not to use it. Business world has been known for maybe overuse of PowerPoint, and so PowerPoint for some people has a bad reputation because of the way it is overused and misused. A lot of people don't know how to use it properly. It should not be used excessively. If you conduct a whole business meeting in PowerPoint, that's just boring. That's like a form of torture. I personally hate PowerPoint. I don't use it, except for when I do a conference presentation, occasionally in class. More often I actually use Google Slides, which is what I'm using here. But in actual classroom teachings, the only time I've really relied on, well, not PowerPoint, but because I hate Microsoft, but Google Slides was last semester. I taught a big class of about 65 students, and I used slides, some for that. But for normal class, I don't use this stuff. Hardly ever. It kills personal interaction. So some people in business and government need to know how to cut back on PowerPoint and use it less. It is not designed for conveying a lot of information. It's only designed as a presentation aid. That's it. It is not good to rely on PowerPoint a lot, especially for presentations and meetings. It's better to have meetings with face-to-face communication, actual talking to humans, not to a screen, not to a PowerPoint slide. So one kind of general communication skill is using the right communication medium for what you need to do. Use PowerPoint only as much as you have to. Use face-to-face conversation or texting or email when it's appropriate. When you look at what companies are looking for in their employees' communication skills, you look at websites or companies saying, we really need employees with these kinds of communication skills. So new employees tend to lack in these areas. Well, these are some of the things that, that they talk about. Desirable workplace communication skills. Listening, ability to listen. It's tempting when you're listening to somebody to your brain to be busy thinking what you're going to say in response, but first you have to listen, be willing to listen and understand other people, and also to ask questions when appropriate. It's really going to make you look bad if you don't ask questions when you need to. Maybe you don't really understand something, you need to ask questions. You need more information, you need to understand, you have to ask questions. You want to help somebody kind of formulate their ideas. Asking them questions can help that person come up with better ideas, to formulate their ideas or to express their ideas. So for your sake and for the other person's sake, it's important to ask questions. If you don't, you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Empathy, of course, sympathy and empathy with other people. It's important. Social skills, so it goes along with social skills. Clarity, being able to say what you need or want clearly. If you need something by a certain time, say so. So clarity and a certain amount of directness is important, but also politeness and respect. And how these play out, being direct, being clear, but also being polite and respectful. It depends on the workplace culture, it depends on the particular language and culture and social culture and the context and who's talking to who and all that. It's complicated. You could probably take a whole course in that. But those are important skills. Being able to give feedback to other people, saying what you like or don't like about their ideas or what you don't understand. Positive attitude, really important. Nobody wants to work with somebody who has a bad attitude. It can really sour the whole workplace environment. They will regret hiring you if you have a bad attitude. Even if you have even in difficult times, it's important to have a positive attitude. If you do well and have a positive attitude, even though things are difficult, in the end, people will appreciate that, and you'll look a lot better. More likely to get good reference letters if you need reference letters for later jobs. Rapport is a word from French. It's usually pronounced rapport. Establishing a comfortable social connection, harmonious and sympathetic relationships with people, or connection. Even when you're first meeting them, your first day on the job, you want to establish good rapport, show them that you're a good person to be with, and make them comfortable with you. So being able to establish good rapport from the beginning, making them comfortable, even though they don't know you yet, making them comfortable with you through rapport. Showing confidence, collaboration skills go along with that. Showing confidence, they're going to feel more comfortable with you if you are confident. If you are emotionally weak, needy, lacking confidence, you're going to be more of an emotional burden to other people and to the workplace, and they're not going to like that. You have to develop your confidence in yourself. Emotional awareness, being aware of yourself emotionally, or emotional intelligence more generally. Understanding your emotions and understanding other people's emotions, and it goes along with empathy. Being able to sense what is making you stressful. Why are you maybe stressed or angry or feeling uneasy, feeling awkward? And then managing your emotions. All of this we sometimes call emotional self-regulation in psychology. self-regulation. So it means being aware of your emotions and regulating them, managing them. If you feel stressed, relieving your stress in an appropriate manner. Managing your emotions and emotional intelligence toward yourself and then towards others' emotions. Of course, stress management, managing your stress levels.
Our profits are the highest they have been in the history of our company.
Your nonverbal communication skills too. Well, let's talk again. Of the various skills I've listed here, which of these are your strengths? And which of these are areas you need to improve? And how can you develop these skills? Pause the video and discuss this. All right. How can you develop communication skills, by the way, and the other soft skills we talked about earlier? Some of them you might, to some degree, get from your college classes, from studying literature. You might develop your cultural awareness skills and some emotional and social skills. But do you just spend every day of your college life studying, reading, writing papers? Do you live in the library or at the computer every day, all day? Or are you trying to develop yourself as a whole person? While you're a college student, there are other things to do to develop yourself. Club activities, especially where you take an active role or even rise to a leadership role, those are important for your personal self-development. As well as volunteer activities or other community service activities, from tutoring to volunteering, social work, social justice work, school clubs, social activities, especially where you take some kind of leadership role or management role or something. These are important ways of developing communication skills and other soft skills. So do consider that. If you haven't started that yet, it's a good time to start. Well, as soon as the pandemic is kind of better and those social things start again, hopefully, maybe in the fall semester, I hope. Once life here in Korea gets back to normal, do try to develop yourself through some kinds of activities like that. Moving on to interpersonal skills. Companies and business coaches and management coaches, they talk about some of these kinds of interpersonal skills. Again, confidence, positive attitude, a work ethic, which includes being professional, working hard, being professional, being dependable as an employee, being reliable.
So you're highly motivated and energetic.
People know they can depend on you to do something when they need it. For example, managing your relationships with your coworkers and people over you and people under you, leadership skills, being open, receptive to feedback from other people, including constructive criticism, your body language, your listening skills, collaboration, rapport, handling conflict. I mean, it's a really hard thing, but being able to handle conflicts and disagreements with coworkers, with your boss, with people who work under you. Things like that. Workplace etiquette kind of goes along with the work ethic, the professionalism.
In conclusion,
Which of these are your strengths? Which of these are your weaknesses? Which ones do you need to work on? And again, how are you going to work on them? So again, some of these you haven't looked at before, so pause the video And again, think about these and discuss these. Okay, so far we've talked about various kinds of communication skills and other soft skills, and really you should think about how you can develop these and be ready for the job interview. How to be ready for a job interview when you're asked questions about your abilities and skills, and how to be ready for the first day in the job and for handling a work situation, a work environment. Whether it's a company or you're teaching or a researcher, whatever you're doing in your future, these are all relevant. Okay, we are talking about these kinds of skills. It would be nice if we had a real class and we could do a lot of role play and live discussions. Again, that's not going to happen, sadly. It'd be nice if we could do it through Zoom, but I don't have a reliable internet connection either here or at my apartment. So we are maybe going to talk more about the linguistics of conversation and discourse. So even though we can't have a live class and do real conversation in a class face-to-face, we'll at least talk some about the linguistics of language and discourse and communication and workplace communication here and in the next video segment or two. And this is all going to culminate in your final interview. So if your midterm interview, you did more of a scholarship interview. For your final, toward the end of June, you're going to do sort of a practice job interview. We're going to talk about some company stuff too along the way, and evaluating companies and thinking about what kind of companies you'd like to apply for. Maybe I'll create some fictional companies and have you choose one and have you do an interview. And again, we can't do this in a group thing because of the this online semester situation. But you do kind of a job interview, and I'll give you some particular questions for you to answer as well. So the midterm is actually designed to also help prepare you for the final, the job interview, the mock job interview. And all of this is, of course, designed to help you to prepare for the real world when you do have to maybe do a scholarship interview or scholarship application and a job interview. You will all have to do a real job interview someday, I hope. So this is designed to prepare you for real life, especially if you're going for some kind of international workplace, international company or something like that. So in the next video, we're going to talk more about the linguistics of communication. See you later.